You guys read the title of the video. Before we get started, of course, hit that like button if you enjoyed, since it really does help out the channel. And subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy this type of content, so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this video started. Now, starting things off, I got the AFC East, and I got the Bills at 1 with a 12-5 record. I don't think I have much explaining to do there. I mean, they're arguably the best team in the NFL, and they're obviously going to be amazing this season. Then we got the Miami Dolphins at 10-7, finishing second, and the Dolphins, this is entirely dependent on how you think Tua is going to perform, and I think he is going to be solid for the Fins, and as a result, I got them winning 10 games. Then we got the New England Patriots, my favorite team, and I really struggled with this one because, you don't want to be too pessimistic with your favorite team. At the same time, you don't want to be too optimistic, and I could see us winning like a little bit less than this, like 7 games, but I could also see us winning like 11 games if everything does go right. And again, I had a pretty hard time, predicting this, and I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I can with these predictions, and I got us at 9-8. I think that is a pretty fair record. Then we got the New York Jets, and I got them finishing last with a 6-11 record. However, the Jets, they are on the rise, and their future, it's really bright, and I could see them being a little bit better than this, and I think they are actually a dark horse playoff team. My only issues with them is that, 1, Zach Wilson, he is a wild card. 2, the team, they're young. And then 3, their schedule, it's really hard. I mean, those are just factors holding them back. But the Jets, I think they will actually, be better than they have been in past years. And again, the future, it's looking very bright for them. From there, we got the AFC North. First place, I got the Cincinnati Bengals finishing with a 12-5 record. I think that the Bengals, I mean, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I don't think I have a whole lot of explaining to do there. I mean, this division is between them and the Ravens, and I completely understand if you believe that Baltimore is going to win the AFC North, but, personally, I do have Cincinnati winning it. Speaking of the Ravens, I got them finishing second with an 11-6 record. Obviously, last year was really just an injury fest, and as a result, they missed the playoffs by a little bit. However, they're going to be fully healthy, at least I assume, heading into, 2022. And they also made some very nice additions to their squad. And as a result, I think the Ravens are in for a bounce-back year. Then at third place, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I got them at 7-10. And to be honest, I do kind of feel bad for this one because they just never finished below 500, but I feel like this might be the year. I could also see them being like 9-8 because, again, they just don't finish below 500. But, this conference, it's insanely good, and the Steelers, they're a solid team, but at the same time, nothing really amazing. So I got them at 7-10, but again, it could be higher. From there, I got the Cleveland Browns in last place at 6-11. I mean, again, this year is just, it's kind of wasted for the Browns because Watson's going to be out a majority of the year, and they have a solid team. However, Jacoby Brissett, I like him, except he's really just not, he's not an amazing quarterback. He's just really, really limited, and as a result, the Browns, I think they're going to finish 6-11, and I forgot to mention also, the conference is tough, and this division is also very good. Now, for the AFC South, first place, I got the Colts at 9-8. The Indianapolis Colts, I can't lie, I do think they are a little bit overrated. I mean, I see people calling them a dark horse Super Bowl contender and saying that, oh, they're the most underrated team in the NFL, when I feel like I've been hearing that forever, and that being said, the Colts are still a pretty good team. Matt Ryan, I think he is an upgrade over Carson Wentz. Not a massive one, but still a very good quarterback, and I think he should have a pretty good season. Offense overall is obviously very good, and I do think their defense is really good as well. So the Colts, I think they will be solid, even though I think they are overrated. Then we got the Tennessee Titans. I got them finishing second, also at 9-8. It's really just the way the, playoff system worked. So, I think this division is really just between the Titans and the Colts, and I can't lie, I think the Titans are a little bit overlooked. I think this offense will still be, I think it's still going to be decent, even though they lost A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill does have his limitations. I am a believer in Treylon Burks. Plus, this defense, now, they did lose Harold Landry, I will say that, but it's still a pretty good defense, and I think Tennessee is still going to be pretty solid, and they could win the division. Third place, I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-12. They did hire Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson, I don't think he's he's not a top 3 head coach, obviously, but I do think he is serviceable, and definitely something that the Jaguars needed, which was a stable head coach that can help Trevor Lawrence develop. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be much better than he was last year. And I do believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a pretty good year. And the Jaguars, they will remain competitive. However, again, this conference is just really tough, and I just don't think the Jaguars right now are ready to be a playoff team, but they could win a little bit more, but I got them at 5-12 right now. Then finally, I got the Houston Texans at 4-13. I really do like what Houston is building. I mean, their rebuild has actually gotten off to a really good start. I do like a lot of the young talent they have on both sides of the ball. And not to mention Davis Mills. I'm actually a fan of him. I think Davis Mills is criminally underrated, and I do believe that he could be even better in 2022 and maybe be the Texans' franchise quarterback. But this team, they're still young, they're still rebuilding, their focus is not to win games, really just to remain competitive and really just build up the team right now. So I think they could be competitive, but I don't expect them to win a whole lot of games. And, I think everyone is not shocked that the Texans are 4-13. And to wrap up the AFC, we got the AFC West, obviously. Now, in first place, I do have the Denver Broncos at 11-6. I do want to say that anyone in this division, I mean, they could be first place, but at the same time, anyone in this division could also be last. I'd say the Broncos are probably a little bit worse than the Chargers, but I do have them finishing with the same record, which I guess is kind of a spoiler alert, but again, just the way the system worked. But the Broncos, they finally got a quarterback, and not just any quarterback, one of the best QBs in the NFL. And Russell Wilson, I know he had a down year last season, but that was really just due to the injury. And I think the Broncos, they're going to be really good on both sides of the ball, and I think they are in for a very good season. Then we got the Los Angeles Chargers, and as I said before, I have them going 11-6, and I do have them going second in the division, mainly because of how the whole system worked. But this team, last year offense was very good, but the defense was criminally disappointing and horrible. But they've added a lot of pieces defensively, and I think that offense is still going to be great, and that defense, I think it's going to be legitimatately good, and as a result, got them going 11-6. Then I got the Chiefs at 10-7. I'll be honest, I think the Chiefs, I think they're slightly overrated. I see people either really underrating them or really overrating them. I don't think they're going to be dog shit like some people think. At the same time, I don't view them as a top 3 to 5 team and a top tier Super Bowl contender compared to some other people. The losses of Tyreek Hill and Tyrann Mathieu, they are real. And I think Mahomes and the Chiefs themselves, I think they will be fine. And I think they will still be a good team, but I just don't think they really are a top-tier Super Bowl contender right now. Offense will still be good, but again, they don't have a true number 1 wide receiver. And the defense, I think it's all right, and they could be pretty good at their ceiling, but they are very dependent on young players. And this defense, although it's decent, it's not exactly going to blow you away. Then finally, I got the Raiders at 9-8. Now, I really do like the Raiders' skill position group, and I also do like Derek Carr a lot. I really do. But the Raiders, to me, are the worst team in the AFC West. I mean, that offensive line is just wretched, to say the least, and I think it could affect the run game. defense is not that bad. It's all right. You got a pretty good front seven. And the secondary, it's just okay. Nothing amazing, really. And I gotta say, they do have a new head coach, and I'm not the biggest Josh McDaniels fan, and as a result, I got them going 9-8. But again, as I said before, they could also be first place with like 11 to 12 wins. Now, moving on to the NFC, starting off with the NFC East, I got the Philadelphia Eagles going 10-7 and winning the division. The Eagles last year were obviously one of the biggest surprises, and I think they are primed to be one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, it really does hinge on Jalen Hurts and how he plays. And I'm a big believer in Jalen Hurts, and I like him a lot. And I do believe that he's going to have a very good season this year. And as a result, I got the Eagles going 10-7. Then we got the Cowboys, and I got them finishing second with a 9-8 record. The Cowboys, they undeniably lost some pretty key contributors to their squad. And as a result, I think they are going to be worse, not to mention Michael Gallup. He is going to be missing the first few games of the year. That being said, they're still going to be a pretty solid team. Then we got the Commanders at third place with a 9-8 record as well. Again, just how the system worked. And if you guys have been obviously keeping up with my channel, you would know that I think Washington is underrated, and I could see them making the playoffs. This offense I really do like a lot. Carson Wentz, in my opinion, is incredibly overhated. And this defense obviously was very disappointing last year, but I do believe that it is going to be better. And I do believe that Washington will be a solid team. Then we got the Giants, and I got them finishing last with a 6-11 record. The Giants still will not be an amazing team. However, that being said, I think they will be pretty competitive. I do like Brian Daboll, and I think he will keep the team competitive. And Daniel Jones, I gotta say, I'm not a massive fan of him. However, that being said, I think he is gonna be better in 2022. And the Giants, again, I think they're just gonna be competitive, like these rebuilding teams. Won't be great, but they will compete. From there, we got the NFC North. First place, I have the Green Bay Packers at 11-6. This team is still they're still the best in the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers, he's obviously a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league. You got a very good backfield. Offensive line's not too bad. Wide receivers, obviously, like wide receiver core is not amazing, but I do think Rodgers, he's going to be fine in the regular season, and this offense will be fine in the regular season. And this defense, it's elite. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. It's one of the best units in the NFL, and I think Green Bay is still going to be very good. Then we got the Vikings at 9-8. Minnesota could be better, in my opinion. I think their offense is going to be absolutely electric this year, and I do like the Kevin O'Connell hire. Defense, I think it will also be better, as they did add Zadarius Smith and some nice young talent in the draft. But again, those are rookies, and this defense, it still does hinge on how they play, and that's not really an amazing thing if you're trying to be one of the best teams in the NFL. But Minnesota, I think they will be decent. It really just comes down to the defense and how they play. And also, Kevin O'Connell, because he is a new head coach. Then I got the Lions at 7-10, finishing third in the division. Of course, I'm sure many of you guys found out about this channel through my video on the Detroit Lions. I think they are going to be pretty solid this year, and again, I think they will be a dark horse playoff contender, and I think 7 wins is pretty fair. They got a solid roster. However, even though I think the defense did improve, it's still not an amazing unit, and again, it's just not an amazing unit. I think that will hold them back. However, I could see the Lions winning 9-8, and if the Vikings truly do flop, then maybe the Lions could finish second in the division. And then finally, I got the Bears at 4-13. No surprise here, the Bears are in the first year of a rebuild, and as a result, they're not focusing on winning games, and this team's just not that good, and I think they could be competitive, but don't expect them to win a lot of games this year. Now we got the NFC South. First place, I got the Buccaneers finishing with a 12-5 record. No surprise here. I mean, the Buccaneers are one of maybe the best team in the whole league. Then I got the Saints at 11-6. I'm sure if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you would know that I think the Saints are a dark horse Super Bowl contender, and I like this team a lot. I think this offense will be solid, and that defense might be the best unit in the NFL. They're going to be damn good. I mean, it really just comes down to how Dennis Allen is as a coach, and I think he will be decent, and also how you think Jameis will perform. And I think Jameis, he's going to be pretty good. Then third place, I got the Carolina Panthers, finishing with an 8-9 record. I love Baker Mayfield a lot, and I think Baker Mayfield is going to bounce back, as he did play injured last year. The reason why I don't have Carolina with the higher record is more so that their division does include two very good teams. Not to mention, the schedule is pretty tough. However, I think the Panthers will be solid, and they could win like 9 to 10 games and possibly make the playoffs. And then last but least as well, I got the Atlanta Falcons finishing with a 2-15 record and obviously fourth place. The Falcons, in my opinion, are the worst team in the NFL, and they are going to be in the first year of a rebuild, and as a result, I expect this team to lose lots of games, obviously, but again, they could be competitive, which is what you want to see if you are a fan of a rebuilding team. And the final division we got is the NFC West. First place, I have the Rams at 12-5. I'll admit, I am a little bit concerned about the depth, and the Rams are not a perfect team. However, they're the reigning champions, and they're obviously one of the best teams in the NFL. Then we got the 49ers at 10-7, finishing second in the NFC West. This is dependent on how Trey Lance performs, and I think Trey Lance will be, I think he's going to be decent, and as a result, the 49ers will be a good team, and they might be able to win the division if the Rams, if their flaws really do bite them in the regular season, and if Trey Lance is amazing. But I think the 49ers, again, they're going to be a good team. Then we got the Arizona Cardinals going 7-10 and finishing third. My most recent video, before this was obviously on the Cardinals and why I'm not that high on them, and you guys can check that one out for more details. But the Arizona Cardinals, I like their offense a lot, but their defense, I just don't like it really, and I think the Cardinals, they could be a game worse than this, but at the same time, maybe they are better. But I got Arizona at 7-10. And then last, I got the Seahawks at 3-14. It's really just quarterback. That's the issue with them. I did like Seattle's draft a lot, and I think they do have some nice young talent, and that's only going to grow after next year's draft, assuming that they're this bad. But right now, quarterback is just horrible for them. I mean, Geno Smith, he's just super limited. And then Drew Lock, he could win you some games. Like, he does have some real talent, but at the same time, he is going to lose you a lot of games because he has a lot of issues, and I don't think anyone's really surprised that I got Seattle at 3-14. Now we got my playoff predictions. For the AFC wild card, I got the Ravens beating the Colts and the Chargers beating the Broncos, and then the Bengals beating the Chiefs. For the divisional round for the AFC, I got the Bengals beating the Ravens and the Bills beating the Chargers. Then for the conference championship, I got the Bills beating the reigning AFC champs in the Cincinnati Bengals. Now for the NFC, this was a toss-up, but I do have the Eagles beating the Saints. Then I do have the 49ers beating the Packers, and then the Rams beating the Cowboys. For the divisional round, I got the Buccaneers beating the 49ers and the Rams beating the Eagles. For the conference championship, I got the Buccaneers beating the reigning Super Bowl champions in the Los Angeles Rams. And that sets us up for Super Bowl with the Buccaneers and the Bills. And I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl. Alright, now with the season predictions done, I'm going to run down my award predictions real quickly. By the way, I'm going to warn you that I do have 3 made-up awards, those being Most Improved Player, Biggest Disappointment, and Biggest Surprise. So starting things off, With MVP, I got Josh Allen. Offensive Player of the Year, I have Justin Jefferson. Defensive Player of the Year, I have Micah Parsons. Coach of the Year, I have Brandon Staley. Comeback Player of the Year, I have Lamar Jackson. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I do have Chris Olave. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I do have Aiden Hutchinson. And then for the three made up awards, Most Improved Player, I have Rashad Bateman. Biggest disappointment, I have the Arizona Cardinals. And biggest surprise, I do have the New Orleans Saints. But without further ado, that will be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff. And of course, check me out on social media. Links to my social media, they are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.